Well, my expectations shattered. Everything about the Wood Dragon God that I was hoping. This chapter went above and beyond that. When the translations were still being processed for the chapters describing the dragon gods, and we just had kind of like rough translations. There was a kind of a mix up between the dragon god being said to be the largest dragon, but also the wood dragon, and there was like a rough translation saying like, oh, he's got the largest tree in the world on his back instead of, he's a wood tree dragon that's the largest of it. And I was like, wow, that's probably pretty crazy because, the biggest tree we know of is the one on Sirius Island. And if, a dragon is carrying this around on them, that'd be absurd for how much weight that would be. And then it was like, revealed, okay, no, it's just the biggest dragon. And then we get this chapter because back when Mercephobia described them as like, oh, Aldaron, humans are like mosquitoes to him, and I'm just like, wow, he's pretty big, and this is much bigger than I thought that was gonna be because the fact that these are human-sized like mosquitoes in comparison. All right, like mountains are like Legos to him. Legitimately, humans are like mites, like legitimately like a tiny mite in comparison, because this is a big freaking dude. Now, okay, let's just get to the chapter itself, because I really want to talk about the Wood Dragon God, about Aldaron, but we gotta obviously talk about the events of the chapter. And they get to Drasiel, the center of the continent. It has a very similar feel to Crocus, but the capital of Fiore Crocus, the city of flowers. I believe that was its title, right? City of Flowers. Yeah, the blooming flowers rather. And it was okay, understandable. This isn't the capital of the country, this is the capital of the continent, seemingly, at least of the biggest one of there. We don't know of the structure like countries of like the other continents, like we know Ishgal. We don't know about Alakatasia or Giltina too much about that. They seem to have obviously a very different structure. But once they're kind of just going around, and obviously Juvia came back, and they're kind of, oh, cool, Juvia, what's going on with you? Why are you here? And everyone's just kind of like, oh, it's an interesting run-in. Well, Gray, you can tell that he's a little bit uneasy about it. It seems a little bit strange, but when she's like, oh, nothing happened in the guild. I don't know what you mean. Nothing happened there. I just kind of, it's a coincidence that I ran into you here, which again would be like a very like questionable thing, right? When that happens, it'd be like, I don't know how you would, like, by coincidence run into us on another country, like in the middle of their largest city, like in this moment. Well, they meant at Rain Hill, but you know what I mean, on the way to there. It would be way too coincidental. It's not impossible, it just seems suspicious, especially when you know of all the stuff going on in the story. They know about the Dragon Eaters, and they know a little bit about the White Mage, but they don't know who she is. They don't know anything about her. Only a certain amount of people really know about what's going on with her in general, and they have absolutely no idea that this character that messed with Mercephobia joined their guild and went back and messed with it. But then we kind of get a little bit of like a quiet chapter for just like the first couple of pages. They're hanging out with Juvia. They can't tell her obviously about the 100 years quest because of the contract they're signed in. They can't add her in. Juvia's just like, okay, I understand. They can't just tell her and then be like, don't tell don't tell anybody about this. Don't tell Eleftheria. No, it's obviously part of the pride of their guild that they can't just go around blabbing on about stuff that they signed a contract for. And obviously, again, they put their name of the guild on the line, and it's its honor and its integrity. So they got to hold that up. And then Julie's like, okay, I just wanted to, spend some time with Gray and, see him after however long of a gap it was since they, last met. Probably like a couple weeks at least. They had to travel continents and then, now travel over. I had to go back and look at the time frame. It's probably got to be at least a month or so. But then they're just kind of like hanging out. They're having some good old classic fairy tale fun. They're just, they're eating, and you see like the escalation of that. It's getting kind of crazier. It just starts out fun and then kind of gets more rowdy. We remember Urza is a very aggressive drunk, which is like one of the things in there that seems like the smallest aspect of it there, but was probably the most kind of like, I would say, consistent one, because Natsu drinking and Gray drinking, I don't think we know too much about their drunk sides, because I think every single time we had like an emphasis on members of the guild getting really drunk. It was like the girls, and like Lucy's overly affectionate, and like Urza's extremely aggressive. I don't remember anything about the guys, but I just thought that was funny because Urza is like, you guys got too rowdy and we got kicked out because of it. And I'm just like looking back and I'm like, yeah, I would agree, but Urza, she definitely seemed like she was part of it. She's like yelling at people. But then obviously they got kicked out. They're like, okay, what do we do now? Lucy's looking at a map, and the map, I'm wondering if like how long it take anybody to look and see the map of Drasiel and be like, hey, what's going on with this map? Why exactly is it? What does it look so weird? And then that's just kind of like put in the back row, you know. It's just like, okay, whatever. And then Juvia and Gray are discussing, and she's like, oh yeah, it's cool. Juvia's gonna leave the next day, and she's just happy to see Gray. And he's like, okay, it's cool. I'm glad to be able to see you for the first time in a long time. And it was interesting because we know about the last chapter where even though it wasn't Juvia he was talking to, we got to see like Gray's honest feelings about Juvia and why even though we know about like there was progression before and after the Alvarez arc, why haven't they, completed like becoming like an item? And we know that Gray kind of like felt really bad about Juvia almost dying in the whole fight with Invul, and he wants to be strong enough to protect her, at least what he believes is strong enough to protect her before he ends up kind of being with her. He's trying to, it's not to Juvia, it's to himself, because he wants to know that he can keep her safe and all that. So then that kind of like started to go on, and he's like, haven't you changed a bit? And again, I agree, because people noticed that in the last chapter, Juvia seemed way too calm about everything, and even though she still has a little bit of Juvia moments in this, it seems so toned down, which is very strange. Again, when you're talking about Juvia, who we know for hundreds of chapters of how she, handles situations with Gray. And then Gray's like, not only that, when asked earlier about the guild, you hesitated. And Juvia just, like, her mind starts to kind of jumble around. And she's like, something at the guild, it's, she's just like fumbling around her words. And she said, yes, somebody new joined. And Juvia was suspicious of him. And just that kind of moment, obviously, Toka messed with their heads. Anybody from the guild that we haven't seen yet, I think this is obvious that she's messed with their heads. Because similar to Zareth, she's going to have a lot of weird magic under her belt. But her restriction is is the Toka whose body that originally seems to be, versus like Zareth, where it was, the curse that affected his mind and the control over his abilities. And then Juvia just kind of like straight up tells him, like, be careful with the white mage. There's obviously not much knowing about the white mage, but we do know from a reader standpoint about her. And obviously now the guild knows about her, but they can't really do anything. And then I guess their minds seemingly are altered and messed with. But Natsu and the team only know about him or her. They're kind of ambiguous. I think that they mentioned. I feel like Camille mentioned that the white mage was a woman. Yeah, I'm 99% sure about that. But the fact that they only know about her existence, they don't know anything about her. Again, they have no idea that this character went back and joined their own freaking guild while they were away doing this 100 Years quest, which is just such unfortunate timing for them. But then right when that happens, Juvia collapses. Probably had something to do with kind of like a safe, or what is it, fail safe? She broke momentarily out of the mind control, which again we know about that Juvia and Gray were able to shake off a little bit of Invul's ice like mind manipulation. So it makes sense that Juvia was able to get through it at least momentarily in this situation. And then obviously her passing out, we don't know if that was the strain from it or if that's something set up to where, anybody kind of shakes loose of Toka's hold on them. They just kind of like, go unconscious, for whatever reason that they have. And then the craziness happens because then the earth starts to shake and they're like, what's going on? All the townspeople are perfectly fine. And this woman next to them is like, oh yeah, you guys are just travelers. What's going on? Oh no, you guys just need to calm down. Just wait. It'll be over soon. It's like this every day. And you just gotta wait and then pray to the, the one that we worship. And they're talking about the city shape when Lucy notices the map and the landmaster throne looks like this strange hand. And not only this is really wild because one, it was like, oh, Drasiel. I thought it was weird that there were two Drasiels. You figured it would be like another city, but there's like there's left and right Drasiel, which though is understandable because this is on one of freaking Aldaron's hands. Like this is just kind of like rough math. I believe Caracas is like 12 kilometers long or wide. I believe it's like 12 or 13, somewhere between that, maybe like 12 to 15 kilometers wide, which is like what, like 11 miles or something. And that snugly fits on this dude's hand. And you can actually see like a mountain range on there and just like then kind of pulling up to him. And again, I talked about how like, oh, it'd be crazy like if he had the world's biggest tree on his back, bigger than the one on Sirius Island. And then, the correction of the translations, at least for the fan translations, came out. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's still fine. He's probably still pretty powerful. No, this tree is way bigger. This thing is freaking huge. And this dude is huge. I can only imagine, people trying to find out, like, how much this dude weighs. Because, it legitimately, again, like, mountains are like Legos to this dude. He's freaking huge. And he's not just big, he's thick, too. He's bulky as all hell. And they're just kind of looking at it like, what the living shit are we going to do in this situation? Because this is a big dude. This is a huge dude. And it's going to be crazy to see this guy operate because, like, we didn't get to see much from Ignia. Ignia kind of just showed up and was, just kind of did, like, a quick flare and a little show. And with Mercephobia, his, obviously, with water manipulation, his was much more of, like, concentrated, condensed water to, like, pressurize so it, if you've ever seen like how they pressurize water to where it can cut steel, that's always like what a lot of like water manipulation, like big stuff like that. It's like, especially with like roars and stuff, makes sense. It just kind of seemed like that the way that he was going about a lot of his powers. But this is just like a huge dude. Any attack that he does that is at least as big as him is gonna be like hundreds of kilometers or miles. I said kilometers because I know there's, it usually uses it within the series because, they're from Japan usually. And then if I have any non-Miles kind of people, obviously I use Miles, I'm American. But when it comes to at least manga, I feel like it's way easier to at least use, I don't use goddamn centimeters or kilos though, which is weird because I use kilometers when I'm talking about this. But anyway, I'm sidetracking. But really cool design, really cool reveal. The fact that I would have been so curious, like, if you end up, like, could you imagine, like, if there's one store in Drasiel, but it's, like, on the right Drasiel city, and you go to the left one, and the distance between this one is, again, this is probably, like, a couple 100 miles between these two cities. And not only that, between that, you have to get there within a time frame to hopefully not get crushed by this dragon just moving or whatever he's doing, like getting up. Maybe he's gonna like absorb like sunlight and absorb like I don't know, maybe the ether in the air. However he's gonna operate, maybe just eat some trees. I don't know. We'll see how the wood dragon god does, because we're probably not gonna get a lot for him for a while. I feel like he's gonna be like a good just kind of be their kind of character, and then after a while he'll start to actually like input when something goes awry. But the next chapter, we're definitely going to get to see like a display of him, even if it's not going to be like I'm going to do a big attack. It's going to be probably like he kneels down and he like just opens his mouth, grows like a forest from breathing on the land, and then eats like hundreds of miles of forest within like a second, and then he goes back to sleep for a day. Something like that, something ridiculous. I'm excited to see like the full length of this dude. Again, this is a big fella. This is a huge dragon. The only thing that Hiroshima has bigger, I believe, ever drawn is Mother and Chronophage. And again, this is just massive, because this is different. Eden Zero, it's like, okay, we're gonna do crazy space stuff, so it's easy to get out of hand with space stuff, sizes, you got planets and all this crazy thing out in the deep reaches of space. But usually when you keep combined to one world and you have absurd sizes like this, it just looks so much different. I remember someone saying online, it's like, oh, Ikusatsu Nagi, this dude's probably like 2 to 3 times bigger. No, Ikusatsu Nagi was like the size of a mountain. You can see mountains on that dude's hand. He would pick up Ikusatsu Nagi like like a freaking cockroach and then just squish him if he felt like it. Even if he that would be like even if he ever gave him the time of day. This is again crazy, ridiculous size. This is absurd, and it's gonna be really cool just to see this again. This dude do anything. Literally, him walking is gonna be a spectacle. Like, and not even mentioning when he does attack. Could you imagine a breath from him? Again, it's probably gonna be like breath, and then like thousands of miles of forest just spring up from the ground from his dragon roar. It's gonna be ridiculous. I'm stoked to see this, and just imagine again what the moon and the gold dragon would be like. Because again, I have this crazy feeling that the moon dragon god is gonna just like be literally living on the moon, and then when we get the reveal, it's gonna be like ascending from like space and just come down from the moon itself. And then we don't even know about the gold dragon. What crazy shit the gold dragon is. The gold dragon literally gonna be like, oh yeah, he literally sleeps in the Earth's core. Maybe that's his thing. He's just like, yeah, I sleep down here. It's comfortable. You know, I like the heat. It's good on my scales. I don't know. We'll see. So super stoked up. We got some really nice kind of just like general fairy tale stuff. You know, we got some rowdiness, some fun interactions. We got obviously stuff with Julia and Gray and Toka, and then the big guy, the biggest dragon within the series and probably history of fairy tale ever. The only character I could ever feel like could possibly be bigger within fairy tale, if ever decided, just because it'd probably be within his power, is Ankh Saram. And don't know. I feel like if we ever get to him, he's gonna be normal size. But if he was just like snaps his fingers and becomes this big or bigger, it wouldn't surprise me. But until then, this is by far the biggest creature in it, because it was like Makarov in his Titan form, the one that we saw, the giant that he only went back in Sirius Island. That was like I believe it's like a mile tall, and then Ikusatsu Nagi is like head at the clouds, probably like a mile and a half, 2 miles. And then we get this guy who's probably like a good 100 miles and kilometers, whatever. What's kilometers? Kilometers like what, like 170 miles or some bullshit tall. So absurd. Really, really crazy stuff. Tell me in the comments what you thought about this. Again, when I first read the description a couple chapters ago describing the other dragon gods when they got their names, I was like, holy crap, you know, this dragon, what is he carrying a giant tree on his back bigger than the one in Sirius Island? That's an extreme feat of strength. Oh, never mind. That was just kind of like a translation of the crew that was kind of rough translating it, and it turns out no, he's the biggest dragon. It's not that he has the biggest tree, but it's like, no, that is also true. And not only that, like the girth of him is legitimately like absurd. Like that's like legitimately he's probably got the entirety of like a fucking small moon or some shit. This dude is just freaking mass beyond belief. It's gonna be crazy if Natsu somehow like maybe like accesses that power than he had when he fought Mercephobia and he fought Ignite. Just imagine him punching this dude and even lifting him like 10 feet off the ground. It could be nothing to him. It could be so small to Aldaron that he doesn't even comprehend the tiny size that he's lifted up. But Natsu moving that much weight would be ridiculous. Or just anybody knocking this dude over. Moving him in general is going to be crazy. So look forward to that. Like I'm so curious. They're going to need a lot more Dragon Eaters. The Dragon Eaters are going to be like, yeah, full guild. Let's go. This is an all or nothing kind of guy in. And it was really funny because I remember people talking about how like the size gap between Ignia and Mercephobia was ridiculous, because Mercephobia was the biggest dragon that we'd seen at that point. I think the only one bigger was like in prior to him was like in that like reveal of like, oh, the 10,000 dragons are coming. He had some big looking dragons in comparison. And then this dude is just so freaking huge. God damn. This is a big ass dragon to again a ridiculous degree. So more crazy stuff coming out from the dragon gods. Again, I feel like the fact that Selene could literally come from the moon, and then we get like Vernies coming from like the core of the earth is just like fully possible at this point when you got a big boy like this just existing in the world. I feel like if only Acnologia like didn't shut himself off from humanity, and he could just find out, like, if he just could, like, get, like, word by other people, just talk to humans, and find out like going on like 100 years quest, and then just like, oh, they're somewhere on this country. I get some leads. He would find them. Unfortunately, that just kind of like, I think that was the thing that screwed him over in the end in his whole goal. But again, not the topic here, just a fun thing to think about. Again, oh my god, this is going to be so much fun just the next couple chapters, just to see this character do anything. Will he even have like a humanoid form? I don't know. Maybe there'll be like a core area within him where he has like a little like spirit kind of like deity that people can talk to. I don't know. Drop a comment below on what you think about this, how you thought about this whole chapter, and where you think this is going to go. And I'd really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, but press the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But on that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.